What if I told you that Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, has recently blasted Republicans? This is not a simple family feud or a disgruntled political rivalry. No, this is a controversy that has sent shockwaves through the corridors of power, compelling lawmakers on both sides to react. A firestorm ignited by a son's words, leaving us to question the potential implications for his father, the president. Are we on the brink of an impeachment inquiry? Is there a connection between the president and his son's business dealings? So, let's delve deeper into this political storm. Hunter Biden has not been one to shy away from controversy. In the latest political storm, he's made headlines for his pointed criticism of Republicans, particularly those who've been questioning his business dealings. A man who wears many hats, a lawyer, an investor, and yes, the son of President Joe Biden, Hunter has found himself under the microscope over the past few years. His most recent blast to Republicans came in the form of a fiery statement, where he vehemently defended his business decisions and questioned the motivations of those who sought to scrutinize him.
Good morning. I'm here today to answer at a public hearing any legitimate questions Chairman Comer and the House Oversight Committee may have for me. I'm here today to make sure that the House Committee's illegitimate investigations of my family do not proceed on distortions, manipulated evidence, and lies. And I'm here today to acknowledge that I've made mistakes in my life and wasted opportunities and privileges I was afforded. For that, I'm responsible. For that, I'm accountable. And for that, I'm making amends. But I'm also here today to correct how the MAGA right has portrayed me for their political purposes. I am first and foremost a son, a father, a brother, and a husband from a loving and supportive family. I'm proud to have earned degrees from Georgetown University and Yale Law School. I'm proud of my legal career and business career. I'm proud of my time serving on a dozen different boards of directors. And I'm proud of my efforts to forge global business relationships. For 6 years, MAGA Republicans, including members of the House committees who are in a closed-door session right now, have impugned my character, invaded my privacy, attacked my wife, my children, my family, and my friends. They have ridiculed my struggle with addiction, they've belittled my recovery, and they have tried to dehumanize me, all to embarrass and damage my father, who has devoted his entire public life to service. For 6 years, I have been the target of the unrelenting Trump attack machine, shouting, "Where's Hunter?" Well, here's my answer. I am here. Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist. During my battle with addiction, my parents were there for me. They literally saved my life. They helped me in ways that I will never be able to repay. And of course, they would never expect me to. And in the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances. But to suggest that is grounds for an impeachment inquiry is beyond the absurd. It's shameless. There is no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen. James Comer, Jim Jordan, Jason Smith, and their colleagues have distorted the facts by cherry-picking lines from a bank statement, manipulating texts I sent, editing the testimony of my friends and former business partners, and misstating personal information that was stolen from me. There is no fairness or decency in what these Republicans are doing. They have lied over and over about every aspect of my personal and professional life. So much so that their lies have become the false facts believed by too many people. No matter how many times it is debunked, they continue to insist that my father's support of Ukraine against Russia is the result of a non-existent bribe. They displayed naked photos of me during an oversight hearing. And they have taken the light of my dad's love, for me, and presented it as darkness. They have no shame. These same committee chairmen have engaged in unprecedented political interference in what would have already been a 5-year investigation of me. Yet, here I am, Mr. Chairman, taking up your offer when you said we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose. Well, I've chosen. I am here to testify at a public hearing today to answer any of the committee's legitimate questions. Republicans do not want an open process where Americans can see their tactics, expose their baseless inquiry, or hear what I have to say. What are they afraid of? I'm here. I'm ready.
He argued that his actions were entirely legal and ethical, and suggested that the attacks against him were politically motivated, designed to undermine his father's presidency. This wasn't a quiet whisper in a crowded room. No, it was a loud, definitive stance against his critics. The message was clear. Hunter Biden would not be backing down, would not be silenced by partisan politics. But how did Republicans react to this blast from Biden? All too predictably, they were quick to respond. Scene script. Republican lawmakers were quick to respond to Hunter Biden's comments. Indeed, the GOP's reaction to Hunter Biden's blast was swift and unequivocal.
Transparent investigation that has produced a lot of troubling evidence. We have lots of questions. Hopefully you all have had an opportunity to go in the committee room and see the boxes of documents that we've accumulated, tens of thousands of pages of documents. We have lots of specific questions. This is an investigation about public corruption at the highest levels of our government. The American people expect Congress to investigate this because I think one thing that Chairman Jordan's proven is the FBI, the DOJ, and the IRS, as we've heard from the whistleblowers, have all dropped the ball. So the House Judiciary Committee are conducting this credible investigation that an overwhelming majority of Americans want. We have specific questions for the president's son. He does not get to dictate the terms of this subpoena. So with that, I'll turn over to Chairman Jordan.
I would just point out that I've had a chance now to review what Hunter Biden said in his press conference. And I think he made an interesting statement. He said his father was not financially involved in the business. And I think that qualifier, the word financially, is important because once again, it shows another change in this story. First, it was no involvement. Then, no, I never talked to anyone. And then we find out about the dinners, the meetings, the phone calls, everything else. Now it's, oh, he wasn't involved in the business financially. I think that is important. It's one of the reasons we want to talk to Hunter Biden. Second thing I would say is this: in a few hours, I think the House of Representatives is going to pass the impeachment inquiry, and that is an important step. If you talk to any scholars in this,
Many saw his comments as an audacious defiance, a refusal to be held accountable. Some even suggested that his statement was a distraction, a way to shift attention away from the real issues at hand, the blurred lines between political and personal. And so, as the dust settles, one thing remains clear. Hunter Biden's blast to Republicans has stoked the embers of a political firestorm. His words, his defiance, have added fuel to a debate that shows no sign of dying down. But as with any political controversy, the fallout was swift and fierce. Some suggested that the GOP's focus on Hunter Biden was a strategic move, aimed at diverting attention away from issues like the economy and healthcare, where the Biden administration has been making significant strides. Regardless of where each lawmaker stood, one thing was clear. The GOP was united in its desire to hold Hunter Biden accountable for his actions. Whether that accountability would extend to President Joe Biden, however, remained a question. And yet, throughout this, Hunter Biden remained unapologetic. Democrats, too, were drawn into the controversy. As the dust settled after Hunter Biden's fiery statements, voices from within the Democratic Party began to chime in, offering their own perspectives on the matter.
We have just returned from the attempted deposition of Hunter Biden. Mr. Biden and his attorney had repeatedly responded to Chairman Comer's request that he come and speak before the committee. For example, on September 13th, Chairman Comer went on Newsmax and said, Hunter Biden is more than welcome to come in front of the committee. If he wants to clear his good name, if he wants to come and say, there weren't 20 shell companies, they actually did something, he's invited today. We'll drop everything. Again, on October 31st, on the podcast, The Benny Johnson Show, Chairman Comer stated, we have mountains of evidence and now we're ready to bring them in. We're in the downhill phase of this investigation now because we have so many documents and we can bring these people in for depositions or committee hearings, whichever they choose, and so on. Hunter Biden, through his attorney, contacted the committee and said he was ready and willing to come today, December 13th, 2023 at 9:30 to this place to appear before the committee as the chairman had repeatedly stated. And Chairman Comer and Chairman Jordan would not take yes for an answer. Why? Because they wanted to conduct the deposition in a closed door interview so the public couldn't see it, and so they could continue to cherry pick little pieces of evidence and distort and misrepresent what had taken place there. And this is a pattern that Hunter Biden and his lawyer clearly observed, that members of this committee have observed, has been taking place for many months now. There are 14 transcribed interviews that are out there, and only 2 have been released. I'm sorry, there are a total of 16, and only 2 have been released to the public. So there's still 14 transcribed interviews that Chairman Comer has not released to the public. I called upon him today to release those transcribed interviews to the public so that the various witnesses are not subject to the distortion and mischaracterization of their statements. That process is interfering with the work of this committee because witnesses don't want to come in only to have a closed-door deposition and then have their words mangled and misrepresented to the public through selective leaks and an orchestrated choreography of false narratives. So we're disappointed that we were not able to hear from Hunter Biden today. We are certain that that little particle of evidence would support everything else we've seen through the last 11 months of investigation, which is that President Biden has done nothing wrong. They have not laid a glove on President Biden, and they have no evidence of him committing any offense, much less an impeachable offense. So this is where we are. We take it that the Republicans, if they can get their votes together, are planning to vote to conduct an impeachment inquiry today, a repetition of everything that we've seen over the last 11 months. But we are in a remarkable juncture for the U.S. House of Representatives because this is an impeachment inquiry where no one has been able to define what criminal or constitutional offense they're looking for. We don't know what the crime is. The mysteries are called a whodunit because it starts with a crime and then you try to determine who committed it. This is more like a what is it, not a whodunit. We don't know what the crime is, and there are thousands and thousands of pages of evidence, but all of the evidence demonstrates beyond any reasonable doubt that President Joe Biden is not guilty of any impeachable offense that we can determine. And with that, I'm going to call.
Just to And just one more point to add on to this and to also address some of the questions that were raised earlier. I think it's important to note here that the committee issued a subpoena and Hunter Biden is here in an attempt to comply with that subpoena. It is the committee that has rejected the terms that they themselves set out for compliance with that subpoena that is now preventing a public and due process from happening. So when folks try to raise things that may have happened with other investigations or January 6th, whatever that may be, witnesses that were called and subpoenaed during that time did not even make an attempt to comply with the subpoena. The chairman laid out himself the terms of what compliance looks like. He said compliance with the subpoena means that you can show up either in private or in public, whichever you choose. And when his own option was chosen, he decided to reject it at the last minute. Secondly, it's also important to note that not only is the committee not allowing Hunter Biden to testify publicly, but they have not called a single witness, a single first-hand witness to any of their allegations. They haven't allowed anybody to testify publicly because they do not have a single witness to any of their alleged allegations. They don't. We have asked virtually every single person that has come to testify for this committee, have you seen, witnessed, participated in a room, anything with first-hand testimony of any of what is being alleged? And every single witness that they have called before us has said no. I haven't seen anything, didn't heard anything, wasn't party to anything. So this is just storytelling at this point. This is a nice story. And to add to the ranking member Raskin's questions, this is not just a whodunit, it's not just a what is it, but it's also a where's the beef? And they don't have any. So this right now is a waste of our time, and we should go back to legislating for the actual benefit of the American people.
Despite the controversy, Hunter Biden has stood by his comments. As the political drama continues to unfold, one thing is clear: this saga is far from over. The Democrats, like their Republican counterparts, will have to navigate this tricky terrain carefully, balancing party loyalty with the broader political implications. But what does this mean for President Joe Biden? The trajectory of this political drama has been nothing short of a roller coaster ride. The spotlight now turns on to President Joe Biden. As the father of Hunter Biden, the question that looms in the air is, what implications do these developments have for his presidency? Let's start by addressing the elephant in the room. Are there any connections between the president and his son's business affairs? This question has been a source of heated debate, with opponents alleging that Joe Biden may have used his political influence to benefit his son's business. However, these claims are yet to be substantiated with hard evidence. The president has consistently denied any involvement, stating that he has always kept a clear line of separation between his public duties and his family's private dealings. Yet the whirlwind of controversy has not subsided. The allegations have stoked the fires of political tension, with some GOP lawmakers suggesting the possibility of an impeachment inquiry. The question of impeachment is a serious one. It would require a majority vote in the House of Representatives, followed by a 2/3 majority in the Senate. Given the current political climate, this is a steep hill to climb.
Thanks for watching. If you like it, comment and hit the like and share buttons. Subscribe for future videos.